just to clear up some of those falsehoods that
Does
are out
staff
there.
have
in the
direction?
papers.
Well, I think that's the question. Have you heard enough comments on the thing so that you have direction there, Frank?
Well, yeah, there's certainly enough items here that I wrote each one down that can allow Gary and I to sharpen our pencils and move through them and put numbers to them so that we could bring something back to you. And, you know, in terms of all the contracts, as Bridget had mentioned, is that something, I mean, that's pretty broad, and it will encompass some of the things that you've talked about as well, Bob. By looking at all the contracts, that's really where we're going to have to go, because it's really big ticket items, and we got to do this quickly, because as the fiscal year clock ticks, that means every dollar we spend daily means we're not going to be able to pay for it. So I think to answer your question, yes, I believe I have enough information from the council today to get us started.
And I just want to make it clear, we're not relying on the lobbyists. We're hoping that it helps, that there will be some change, but we have to make the cuts now. Absolutely, right now.
And there's, as has been said several times, we have no thought about going back to disincorporation. Volomar's incorporated, it's going to stay incorporated.
Yeah, and even from my end, if I can just maybe dovetail on what the council was saying about disincorporation and solvency. And for clarity, you know, I know I even had made a comment about, you know, fiscal insolvency to the press, and you know, that was last week when we had perhaps a shot at maybe getting this vetoed. We were really trying to put the pressure on the governor's office, and we were using pretty strong language, and the language was in fact insolvency. We were using words like disincorporation. We're not talking in those terms anymore. None of the other cities that I've talked to that are affected by this, the other newly incorporated cities, are talking in those terms. We're now looking for a fix, and we're all, you know, battening down the hatches and quite frankly working at trying to resolve this from a budget standpoint. And taking the lead from the council, the way I'm looking at it as your city manager is that that money is not coming back to the city. I have a fiscal responsibility to look at it in the most conservative manner possible, and that is we must cut $1.8 million. Now, if it comes to us in the form of legislation or legal action or whatever the case may be, well, then we'll deal with that when it comes. But to be responsible to the community and to this council, we're going to look at it as if that money's not coming back this fiscal year. And we'll approach it from that standpoint. And the conversations I've had with Gary, that's how he's looking at it as well.
I'm also counting on CAL FIRE and the sheriffs and all those guys to put the pressure also at the state level, because they're directly affected. We're affected, yes, but they're directly affected, and they have a lot more pull than we do in this little tiny town down here. So we're counting on everybody that's going to be affected to get on there and start calling people to see if they can get some help with this, because it has to be an oversight. I don't see no other way around that. It's just got to be. So we're counting on everybody to jump in here and help. But in the meantime, yeah, that's going to come. So we'll have to figure out which ones.
Just to chime in a little bit, the city attorneys for all of the affected Riverside cities have been in touch. We were on the phone for about an hour and a half this morning, analyzing the various issues that are associated with SB 89 and looking at all kinds of alternatives. We are, I also represent the proponents of the new city of East LA, so we are in touch with them as well, and really truly hoping for a bipartisan movement at the state level, encouraged by the coalition, if you will, of all those interested parties. So we're doing everything we can to analyze what we may have to do, and also to analyze what may be done politically and legislatively here. So we're all in tune on that. So.
Do we have to say anything about staying with the lobbyists, everything? We want to make sure that all keeps going forward.
Yeah, I think, just by ratifying the contract, we're moving forward, and they'll continue to. The way they'll work with us is that they will be, and they currently are, having meetings with legislators, with people within the bureaucracy, and then I typically will get an email. If it's relevant enough, I will forward that to you, which I think I did yesterday. I sent you a series, a kind of chain of emails so you can get up to speed on it. And to the extent they call me and there's something that I need to let you know, I will do that as well. But that's the way I'll be getting funneling information from the Gonzalez, I say Gonzalez because that's how they refer to themselves, but Gonzalez and Sons lobbying firm.
There being no further comments, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.